Race season has just begun for the Hickory Motor Speedway in 2024, and it always kicks off with the Pass Series, going from up north down south to the virtual Newton, North Carolina, and going racing twice in the span of a weekend. We're doing the same here on iRacing this week. We went racing on Tuesday. We're now racing this evening on a Thursday night with the Sim Auto Racing Association 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Newton, North Carolina. Good to have you here as we embark on some more coverage of the 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour. It was a great day on Tuesday, got things kicked off for the week, and we're going to see, I think, a very similar race this evening. I'm just happy to be here. Of course, coverage brought to you by 1-8 Coffee Company, SARA Next Gen Templates, and Whiplash Simcams. Round 3, technically, of the series this evening, although we stay in what I guess would be an overall round number 2 as we went racing on Tuesday. This kind of packages into the same event, a two-parter, 2 races. Here we are for round number 2. 150 laps for the feature event. Let's go back over the Whiplash Simcams race details. First thing this evening, 150 lap twin races. The format is set to be 3 25 lap heats with a 35 lap LCQ. Now, much like Tuesday evening, car count is looking to come in just below the necessary amount of cars to run all 3 heats. So we're likely going to run 2 heats to set the lineup in dual race format, then go racing with open setups, no change tires, cautions counting, and no fast fixes. An important delineation to make is that we will not have cautions counting in the heat races. If we get cautions in those 25 lap heats, those laps will not count, they will not click off, and these guys will have plenty of chances to keep racing for their position in the lineup. We are up to 21 entries and moving up, I think, as Road to Pro maybe ends. I'm not sure if we're actually to the end of Road to Pro yet this evening, but regardless, I think we'll have some more drivers jumping in the session before this practice session is over in about 6 minutes. Let's take a look, though, at the track. Hickory Motor Speedway. I said on Tuesday evening, something that I'll say here again, you only get so much from looking at the track map itself. From looking at the track from above like this, you only see so much. You have to get down on the racetrack and see the bumps and see the character to the pavement to really understand this place and wrap your mind around it. Super late model world record holder here, Landon Rapp, is in the field this evening, just like he was on Tuesday evening. At least I think he is. Yes, he is. He's 4th quick so far in practice. Let's take a look at this full season schedule. It's really a year-long commitment for these guys, and there's going to be varying drivers that are eligible over the course of 2024 for this 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour, but thanks to the folks at 1-8 Coffee, we can go racing throughout the course of this year. You see 4 events perfectly scheduled right at the start of the year. Actually, you can make it 5 because the Fall Brawl checks in on November 21st. But everything in between there, it's kind of up in the air right now. Everything's still getting finalized, and I'm sure we'll learn more about the exact dates very, very soon. But you see New Smyrna, that has been run. Of course, Hickory 1 has been run. We're here for Hickory 2. North Wilkesboro on May 16th. Will be our next event, and then it's out to Milwaukee and South Boston in the month of June, then Slinger and Langley in the month of July, and finally Oxford Martinsville, a race that is yet to be confirmed, and finally the Fall Brawl in November. 150 laps of feature event racing this evening. Let's get into the sim and take a look at the track. We are in the dead of day. It's dead of night, but in the dead of day. And I say dead because of how hot this track is going to get, I'd imagine. Yeah, 102 degree track temp. It's a little bit toasty despite the 68 degree air temperature. A rather warm day in the iRacing.com sim for sure. And cars on track, of course, getting their laps in as practice is coming to a close in just about 4 minutes. Look at times across the board. Ty Majeski, fastest so far in this practice session. He was very, very quick on Tuesday evening. He will be quick again this evening, I'm sure. Car 98, perfectly hooked up, it seems. Dustin Maburquette, pretty quick again here in practice. He had some trouble a couple of nights ago and had to fight through the field in the heat race, had to fight through the field in the feature race, had a whole lot of trouble trying to do so. Really not at all his fault. But after the race in Discord, he talked about how much fun he had So despite having a challenging day, Dustin Marquette very happy, I think, with the overall race a couple of days ago. There's Joe Schaefer, most recent Super Series winner, here once again. Jacob Harbert's in the 80 was one to talk about for sure. Justin Laxton is here. He was not here on Tuesday evening, so a couple of new drivers that we didn't see a couple of days ago. Kyle Meyer is back, though, in the 88 car. Keith Jeffrey as well. He had a rough outing on Tuesday evening. And if we hop over actually to the other group of cars, Ryan Kuhn is on track in the 72. Landon Rapp has just gone to the top of the board, and that is your world record holder going fast once again. The 72, bit of a tough day, I would say. I said it on Tuesday, but he was very, very pleased with the effort that he put in, the speed he had, and clearly has got some speed again as he's fourth on the practice charts. Blake Thronberg wasn't here a couple of days ago, but he is today. We'll look at car 22. And a couple of others throughout the field. Aaron Johnson getting on track, 22nd quick so far. He had a very, very rough night on Tuesday. We'd like to turn that around. And how about Spencer Dickinson? Back this evening. Had some pretty good speed through the heat races, just kind of fell off as the night progressed. And there is your race winner. From Tuesday evening, he's got a race win in the Super Series this season. He's got a race win now in, well, of course, in the 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour. And I believe he may have won at New Smyrna as well. So this guy is back in his winning ways for sure in 2024. Never really wavering as Alex McCullum. And while practice comes to a close, while it wraps up in the next minute and a half or so, a big thank you to our partners with the series. Of course, there's a long, long list of them. We'll start off with 1-8 Coffee Company and Pedley's Garage Incorporated, then Pierce Fleet Service, of course, the namesake of the SARA Super Series. Race1Wraps.com, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, the presenting partner of this particular event. SimWrapMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, and Toxic Media Solutions. We, of course, also have to mention Boyd's Automotive, Crow Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hides Pride, Leather and Sheepskin, International Short Track Association, Jeff By Jr. Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. While practice wraps up, I do want to take a look at the current SARA Super Series point standings. And this Pierce Fleet Service Super Series has been a ton of fun to watch in 2024. And with a couple of drops now figured into the schedule, into the points rather, everything just tightens right back up. Only a 3-point gap between Alex McCullum and Ryan Kuhn. However, Ryan is out of mulligans. Alex still has a couple. And that is, I think, going to have a very... In fact, I know it's going to have a very large impact on the points. Now, Ryan can still win this championship. He can still pull away from Alex McCullum, but as things stand, it's a much rockier road, even if it's just by a few pebbles, a much rockier road right now for driver 72 in the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. He's got his work cut out for him for sure. Cole Cabry checking into the top 5 there in standings. I think he's one certainly to be noted as we go off into 5 flags here in just a week's time. Trevor Edwards with his Nashville win is squarely in the top 10, tied in fact with Kyle Eli. Joe Schaefer now in the top 10. Cody Kelly back in the top 10. And certainly, I think, a lot worth noting as we'll bypass qualifying this evening. And it looks like Matt Rolfe has actually messed with the heat structure. And we are going to go racing in 3 different heats. How about that? We have extra 25 laps of racing done this evening, and we can go ahead in just a moment and meet our starting grid. Briefly, before we get going for heat number 1, a look at what's upcoming here at Pit Stop TV this week. We'll take a more detailed look at it here in just a few once we get through these heat races, but for the time being, that is at least a look as to what you can expect in the next 7 days or so. Cars are on the grid, ready to go racing this evening. Cameron Hamilton going to win the draw for heat number 1 and lead us to the green in heat number 1. So watch out for car 10. Derek Robinson, a solid draw again for heat 1 here on Thursday evening. Cole Cabry, Jacob Harbert, a solid row number 2. Kyle Eli rolls off from the inside of row number 3, although it looks like he has missed the grid. Derek Kraus, fresh off of a couple of NASCAR Cup Series starts, will roll off 6th. And your back row of the field, Dustin Monburquette and Trevor Edwards. One more reminder about your Whiplash SimCam's race details. 150 lap twin races. We ran one on Tuesday, same format. We're doing one again this evening. We have 25 lap heats. We'll run 3 of them. The LCQ will be scratched this evening, but everything else is the same. Again, though, very important to note, we will not be counting caution laps within these heats. We will, though, in the feature. 7 cars lined up for 25 laps in heat number 1. Cameron Hamilton leading the bunch as we work through turns 3 and 4. And onto the front stretch at Hickory Motor Speedway, we are green for round 2 of the Hickory doubleheader. Lap 1 of Heat 1 complete. Cameron Hamilton getting away to a lead. It is Derek Robinson in the second spot, still over Cole Cabrey. So the front row not wavering at all. You see, though, Cole Cabrey trying to work on the bottom side. Jacob Harbert's there in position number 4, and these guys just trying to find something here early. In the back, though, Derek Kraus, Trevor Edwards, bit of a rough start. Side by side still, now working lap 4, roles reversed. Cabrey on the outside, trying to use that top, and he will. Just to go right by the 69 of Derek Robinson. The top side is so useful in the day, especially with the sun beating down on this racetrack. So useful. The bottom, I think, comes in when the track cools off and we head into nighttime, but while the sun is up, we want to be up top. Dustin Monburquette working off the top side. He'll try and go by Derek Robinson. He'll at least draw even this lap, and I'd say in the next lap around, he just might have his nose ahead by the line. Jacob Harbert sitting back there in the 80 car. He's got a great view, and hats off so far to Cameron Hamilton. He has pulled away to a 1 second and a third almost, 1 second and a quarter lead, as that was a big chunk of concrete wall for Dustin Monburquette that time down the front stretch. Harbert's going to fill that gap to the inside, and the 16 might be headed in the wrong direction. I go back to Discord comments made by the 16 car just a couple of days ago. Very happy with how that race went. Very much enjoyed it at the very least. Maybe wasn't a huge fan necessarily of the result and the challenges he had to go through, but at least enjoyed the race, and that is, I'd say, goal number 1 in iRacing, certainly, to spend your money on the subscription and the tracks and cars and everything. To enjoy it, enjoy what you're doing is number 1 for sure. For Dustin, though, I think that's all about what he got. I don't recall a huge finish for the 16, but a much better draw in Heat 1. Let's see, if he finishes 4th, he'd be starting, a lot the same, actually, just outside the top 10, right? I mean, 3rd in this race will start from 7th, so he would start, I guess, 10th exactly, if he finishes where he is. But he's right on the back bumper of Robinson. 1 car slow, it's Derek Kraus, and a caution will fly, and that will pause Heat 1. I thought Kraus was on his own, but might have had help. He's clearly been in the fence a couple of times, following Harbert's around. This is a lap prior. We'll watch and see what happens to the Shockwave number 9. Loose in turn 4, tries to gather it up. Gets back on power, loose again, and Trevor Edwards was there to just tip that 9 car around, send him for a spin, and boy, he's having some trouble this evening. On board with car 9, he's already bent it up pretty good, and this is the save. He's trying to save it. So caution number 1 in heat number 1. Hopefully we leave it there. Hopefully we don't get any more, but Cameron Hamilton, I think, the most frustrated, I'd imagine, to see that caution. Cole Hickory, a beautiful opportunity, and he went second in the feature on Tuesday. Watch for car 54 again this evening. A brief trip to the pit lane for Trevor Edwards under this caution. Car 32, very short time down there. In fact, just 6 seconds. Maybe taking a couple of optional repairs, or maybe just coming in to check tire wear, who knows. But a short stop for the 32 as we get ready to send them back green at Hickory Motor Speedway. One half of Heat 1 done, one half of Heat 1 to go. We're back green. One lap complete from the restart. Contact there between the 10 and 54. Cole Hickory, they're not relenting contact. Marquette tips the 10. They're going to crash in turn 3. Derek Krause gets a tip. And caution is out once again. I would have to guess that will very much come back on the 16. I don't know who else would be really at blame for that. Take a look back. This is from the restart. We'll just watch this whole restart back first. Hamilton on the inside. Cole Hickory got right up alongside. Still a decent start for the 54 car. Great position there off of turn 2. And Hickory, of course, should now have the race lead. I can't imagine he wouldn't. About even across the line. Hickory, though, grabs the wall, dives back into 2. Maybe some contact, but Hamilton just got free off the corner, and Marquette was there. And Derek Krause in the back gets tipped around by the 16. If we take a look from Dustin's perspective, this is in car, in fact, in helmet. He's committed to the power. The 10 just checks up, and there really was not much time, if any. Of course, Robinson gets a piece. That tips the 16 around. There wasn't much time, if any, for Dustin to do anything. Try and miss the slowing 10 car. For Derek Krause back here, though, he was just kind of trying to get laps in. Clearly, he has bent the right front of the car. And it's that little bit of contact. Hung on to it, though, pretty nicely, especially considering the handling is gone from that car. That was a pretty solid job to hang on to it. Leaders are doubled up, ready to go racing once again. Cole Hickory with the lead. Trevor Edwards now up top in second. Big restart there for the 54. 10 laps to go in Heat 1. The real battle off of this restart for third. Robinson inside, Harbert's outside. And Derek Krause holding down 5th. That's going to keep Marquette and Hamilton in the back for now. Edwards through solidly to 2nd. Really just had to get clear, and Marquette now will move to the inside of the 9 car. And try to take position number 5 away, rather. He's in position 6, and that time out of turn 2 might do it. Krause grabs the wall, and I think that'll be all she wrote. Clear up for the 16. And he has to go back to work on this 69 car that he'd already passed once, but he's only going to have about 6 laps to do it. Meanwhile, at the front, Trevor Edwards trying to put chase to the 54 car of Cole Hickory, and that's a difficult task. Alex McCullum, Cole Hickory, both from the shop. A lot of speed out of those 2 drivers and cars specifically. A couple of nights ago, Cole drove to the front and ended up finishing 2nd, matching Alex McCullum up front on the podium. So with 4 laps to go this time by in Heat 1, I'd say it looks pretty good for car 54. He just might start this race from pole, and all the conversation about track position a couple of nights ago, that's exactly where he wants to start this race from. Of course, that's a given, but it's going to mean a whole lot tonight. Justin Marquette real close here to Robinson, dives to the inside and almost stayed there. Now he should have an opportunity down in turn 1, and he will go for it. Marquette, though, not really, still not alongside. He's going to have one more opportunity here. That's turns 3 and 4, 2 laps to go. White flag is out in heat 1, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Still side by side of the 16 and 69. We'll see who finishes where, but up front, how about car 54 down to the final corner? Heat race 1 goes to Cole Cabry. And Marquette will finish 5th. Did not get that spot away from Derek Robinson. Back to a random draw to begin. Heat number 2. Kyle Meyer, it looks like, will be the beneficiary. And, ooh, this has not happened in a while. Graphics have taken a turn. There we go. Okay, I panicked for a second. There's been a glitch for a while, a bug, really. I don't want to say glitch, a bug. For a while with ATVO. While ATVO is a fantastic program for overlays, there's always bugs with things they add. I mean, it's difficult to not have them in a program as complex as ATVO. But with heat races, to just break the fourth wall for a moment, with heat races in particular, there have been a few bugs that it's really no fault of their own. There's just Cinderella circumstances that tend to crash the system on occasion. I think it comes down to hardware more often than not. But let's go through the grid. Of course, you saw the first couple of rows already. Kyle Meyer, Aaron Johnson, Blake Thronberg, Ryan Kuhn will start from 4th. Then you have row 3, Riley Stenjum inside and Justin Laxton outside. And row 4, Ty Majeski and Matt Rolfe. A lot of work to do for those drivers, especially Ty Majeski in his particular situation. Going to be very, very tough to work from 7th to 1st maybe, but he's got the car to do it. Out of turn 4, we are back green, and this is heat race number 2. Three wide for second place. Contact there. Thronberg has to catch the car, and he's going to go all the way to the back. Lap number 1. He will now, he's going to take the last position, looks like, of 8 cars. He is 8th. The rest of the field handling things between themselves. Ryan Kuhn already up to 2nd. He might be a lock for this heat race win. Fastest lap that time, a 13.9. The only driver in the 13s. Lap 3 complete this time by, and the 72 is squarely in the lead. Kyle Meyer holding down the bottom. Thronberg hit a 13 that lap, running in P last. Ty Majeski up to the 4th position, quickly working through this field. I told you, if anybody's going to have the car, Ty Majeski's got the car to do it. He's now working on Kyle Meyer. But with each pass he makes, with every position he gains, it's going to get a little bit harder to pass these guys and keep moving forward. These guys are spreading out. You're getting some drivers cycling to the front that have a bit more speed, especially to catch Ryan Kuhn. It's going to be difficult. Contact Stenjum and Rolfe, and the 0 goes for a slide. Caution will not yet come out for these guys down the backstretch. We will keep it green in heat 2. Thronberg had to check up again. Stenjum there in the 77 drops to 7th. Laxton fell back. And of course, Matt Rolfe went for the slide. Up front, though, these guys are all spread out. So 8 cars completely spread out. That's rare. The closest 2 are racing for 5th position. Justin Laxton with pressure on the 0 car. We've seen Justin in a couple of Super Series races this season. We have not seen him yet this week, though, here at Hickory in his Team 53 machine. Good to have him here, though, this evening. Clearly has some decent speed. And if he puts some work in behind the wheel, I think he can absolutely be one of our front runners. And in the conversation, certainly within the top 10, if not within the top 5. Up front, no real fight. This is still the best fight on the racetrack. We'll keep watching it now as we hit the halfway lap. This time by 12 complete, 13 to go. And nothing yet really tightening up across the racetrack. The gaps are staying about static, aside from these two drivers. Stenjum and Thronberg are getting close, but for the most part, this still is where the action is at, and a little bit of contact to the wall for both those drivers. Here's the opportunity now for Laxton on the bottom side of car 0, and the SARA Next Gen templates, number 0, might lose 5th. He's going to hang on to it for now. 10 laps to go this next time by. This the fight for 5th in the heat. And again, these guys aren't really racing for anything other than the lineup. All they're doing is seeding their position on the starting grid for when we go racing for 150 laps this evening. Still, this battle goes on. Matt Rolfe, Justin Laxton side by side for position 5. They've been this way for a handful of laps now. Rolfe still with the advantage on the top side. It's going to be tough to pass down low. Laxton giving it a shot, but Stenjum and Thronberg are slowly closing in to make it a 3 or 4 car fight. Up front, it's still the 72. 6 laps to go, this time by. Ryan Kuhn leading. Aaron Johnson in second. Ty Majeski third. And the way these guys will line up now will be 2nd, 5th, and 8th. In the back, as far as the starting grid goes, these guys are racing for, let me think, I guess 5th will be starting 14th in the feature. I think that's correct. 6th would then start 17th. 7th would start 20th. And 8th would start 23rd, I suppose. So there's definitely some reason to fight, and if you're Laxton, you've got to be up on the wheel at this point. You've fallen back a little bit. I don't know if that was to try and stay ahead of the 77, or if that was just by natural causes, if you will. The 53 may be losing some speed as this run goes on, but if you can get there and your name is Justin Laxton, you've got to get there. 2 laps to go, that time across the stripe. Ryan Kuhn, again, so fast this Super Series season. Fast again on Tuesday, as you would expect. Just not the kind of race-winning day he would have wanted. Ran 3rd when it was all said and done. He's going to kick this evening off, though, Hickory doubleheader part 2, with a heat race win. Heat number 2 goes to car 72. He did the same thing on Tuesday. Let's see if it works out for him a bit better this evening. On a Thursday evening, the rest of the field comes across the stripe, and Heat 2 wraps up nice and quickly. No cautions there in that one. Heat race 3, going to be 7 cars in total. So 8, 8, and 7. That's 15, 23, I suppose. So whoever finished last in that heat is starting last. Spencer Dickinson from nearby Mountain View, North Carolina, going to lead us to the green. Keith Jeffrey in the 88 car needs to turn things around from Tuesday evening. Bit of a rough day. He'd like to do so. He starts from 2nd. Landon Rapp, world record holder here in the super late model, will start from 3rd. Kyle Souza from 4th. Row 3, this is one to watch. The most recent winner in the Super Series will start to the outside of our Tuesday night winner here for the Hickory doubleheader. Connor Blaze will round out the field, 7 cars in total. And while these guys have a moment, we wait on the start of this race, do want to take a look at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. Across the board, a whole lot of oval racing. We like it that way. Tomorrow night, March 15th, we actually head out to Daytona International Speedway. We said that a lot on Tuesday as well, but it's for the Racers Elite special event. More about that, of course, tomorrow at 9:15 Eastern. Sunday, it's still out to Bristol Motor Speedway for the Icon Cup Series. And, of course, Wednesday, we go racing for the finale of the SARG Super Speedway Series. Drivers into turn 3 this time by. We'll turn the music down, turn the engines up, and go racing for heat race and number 3, the final heat of the night. Waiting on the green flag, it's out, and we're racing in heat 3. Already in the wall, Kyle Souza. A hard hit, and that's going to be his heat race done. Spencer Dickinson, though, up in the race lead after 1 lap, but here comes Landon Rapp of the 28 car. He's got pace, and the Zeem setup shop driver straight to the inside, nearly contact. Landon Rapp, though, going to have the lead at the line by just thousandths of a second, and I think Spencer Dickinson might have to settle for second already on lap number 3 with Alex McCullum closing. Souza to the pit lane, trying to take some repairs. Although it's not going to change a whole lot. He at least made it to the heat. Not sure what happened to him on lap 1. Maybe if we get a chance, we'll take a look back at it. And Alex McCullum, fastest that lap. We were just on board for it as well. Pulls to the inside of the 6 car. And sure enough, Dickinson knocks the wall down a little bit. Really didn't hit the wall too hard. Just kind of rode along the wall for a moment. And he'll fall back to the 4th position, moving backwards in a hurry. Joe Schaefer, the other 6 car, a little bit of damage to his right front. Wonder if that was the contact that sent Kyle Souza into the outside wall. But aside from these top 2, this heat seems to have calmed down very, very quickly. And even these guys are spread out. Landon Rapp with about a half second back to Alex McCullum. But anytime you have the 1 car chasing somebody, I think you've got to count on him at least closing. Maybe not catching him, but at least closing in on that 28 car, and I think we'll see some of that over the next, we'll say 10 laps, 10, 15 laps. And Alex is definitely closing, but of course Landon's no slouch. Both are a couple of U.S. Legend Cars alumni, and both have run here, I believe, in reality. I believe that might be a stretch for Alex. I'm pretty certain, though, Landon has at least something, if not a limited or a pro late model. But of course, Landon with that lap record, that already makes a big statement. Further back, Keith Jeffrey in the 3rd spot. Joe Schaefer Jr. in 4th. He's gotten by the 6. And the 57 of Connor Blaze has moved right on through to 5th position. While these guys keep running, see if we can go back and take a look at what happened lap 1 to Kyle Souza. Not much changing for these guys right now. Here's the start of the race. Kyle Souza started from 4th spot, gets real free, backs up down the front stretch, and oh boy. Joe Schaefer, as I suspected, got into the back of the 7 car and sent him up the racetrack. One more look at it. This will be from onboard car number 6, Joe Schaefer Jr. All over the place at the start. He dives to the inside there. Souza doesn't really get the memo, and that's a pretty hard hit. Onboard car 7, then we'll go back to green flag racing. Inside of 10 laps to go. This again, the start for Kyle Souza. Big catch there. Gonna get tipped right there in turn 1. That's a big hit. And to not get a caution for that, that's of course exceptionally painful for Kyle. One that he doesn't want to have, of course, start his night. But Spencer Dickinson has fallen back to the 18th position on the grid, 6th in this heat race, and he's got his work cut out for him once they go racing for 150 here in just a few moments. Seven laps to go, working on Connor Blaze. We didn't have the 57 here a couple of nights ago, so good to have Connor in the field tonight. Well, it's good to have you guys all watching. I see Brendan Kennedy out on YouTube. I'm sure we've got a bunch of you guys over on Facebook. Laps clicking off in Heat 1. This is kind of the quietest moment we're going to have, I think, for the race, for the night as a whole. No cautions in Heat 2. Looks like we're trending that way in Heat 3. And there isn't a whole lot to say. I mean, these guys are running laps, I think, getting a little bit of valuable track time, learning how the rest of the day might go. The only real battle on the racetrack is between these two, and it's difficult to call it a battle right now just because Dickinson's gotten the wall a few times. Now, I will recognize the 57 got the wall that time down the front stretch, but unless Spencer makes a move, which I'm not sure he's going to get that aggressive, I think this battle, this field is more or less decided. Dickinson got the apron that time, but I think we are a lap away from calling this one good. So Landon Rapp through turns 1 and 2. A nice clean and green run for car 28. Got to the lead pretty quick. Got by Spencer Dickinson for it. And Heat 3 is complete. With heat races out of the way, we're going to take a step aside, briefly come back to you for feature racing in just a moment. Welcome back to the virtual Hickory Motor Speedway. Technology working against us a little bit, but cars are heading around the racetrack to get their formation laps in. Cole Cavery going to lead us to the green. Ryan Kuhn, Landon Rapp Trevor Edwards, Aaron Johnson, and Alex McCullum. Your first few rows: Jacob Harberts, Ty Majeski, Keith Jeffrey, and Derek Robinson. The rest of your top 10: Kyle Meyer, Joe Schaefer Jr., Dustin Burkett, Matt Rolfe, Connor Blaze. Your top 15, as I believe technology will work with us a little bit. One of those days, I suppose, but we have cars headed around the virtual racetrack, and, well, promise we've got them. Head to this for now. Not exactly the way I'd envisioned things going to start the day, but that's okay. We've got the start coming this time around, went through the grid, and we'll at least get this race underway. From Hickory Motor Speedway, virtually on iRacing.com, the Hickory doubleheader, edition number 2 is underway. Couple of laps complete, and we will see caution number 1 on lap number 4. Cameron Hamilton, one of the bunch involved. Blake Thronberg going to get by it. It looks like Derek Robinson, Connor Blaze, Justin Laxton, all slow in turns 1 and 2 to get the day going. Take a look back. It actually started much further ahead. Joe Schaefer Jr., Derek Robinson with problems. We'll watch cars 69 down here to turn 1. This is lap 3, lap 4. Gets the 88 down the front stretch, and Keith Jeffrey took a big hit to the outside wall. Dustin Burkett, Cameron Hamilton, they all check up. Justin Laxton gets a piece. Another look back at everything that transpired on the front stretch, and watch the 88, Keith Jeffrey, the 69, Derek Robinson. Jeffrey bobbles. I don't know that he came up or Derek went down. They simply met in the middle. Bob Burkett does a great job of rolling up. Everybody else, for the most part, a pretty solid job of checking up as well. Only a couple of cars got into it after the fact. And unfortunately, Derek Robinson going to take a heap of damage in car 69, Cameron Hamilton. A good couple of dings to that 10 car as well. He was great in his heat. Connor Blaze in the back. He did not take the pit lane. Only those couple of drivers doing so. Derek Robinson now 4 laps down. I think he might be out of the race at this point. Cameron Hamilton, a 5-second trip to the box. Back underway. Lap 8 complete. Cole Caber with the race lead. Landon Rapp second place. Ryan Kuhn in third, and they're fighting it out. Side by side, the 28 and 72 stay, and 10 laps now complete. Alex McCullum able to look on from the 4th position. He led every single lap on Tuesday evening, all 150 from the pole. A little bit different now, of course, with Ryan Kuhn, Landon Rapp, and Cole Caber up ahead. But the shop is still leading these laps to get the race started, and what a catch there from Landon Rapp. Trevor Edwards into the 5th position. Harberts and Johnson just behind. Landon Rapp's misstep. Drivers always talk about on iRacing, once you slide the tires once, you may as well be out until you can get a new set of tires. And with no change tires for these Supers, that's going to be a long night now for the 28 car. He's already slid those tires a couple of times. Trevor Edwards and Moore taking advantage of this and trying to get by the 28 car. McCollum, though, into the top 3. Edwards poking around for 4th. And how about Ty Majeski, position number 5, trying to work through the field. Position number 8. I don't know why I said 5. We're on lap 15, though. Maybe that's where I got the 5 from. I believe Majeski finished 4th. Just a couple of hundredths off of position number 3 and Ryan Kuhn on Tuesday evening. So a little more work cut out for him this evening. I believe he started from 2nd or 3rd on Tuesday. Maybe a little bit harder of a day, but as he's already worked from, well, I guess, 8th to 7th. It's a long grind. 150 laps at Hickory. Only one car out of the race with 17 complete. Some great battles further back. Kyle Eli, Spencer Dickinson. Blake Thronberg there on the 22 car. And even up front, Majeski pulls the inside of Johnson. Johnson gets the wall that time, and the 78. Again, had a rough day on Tuesday. We'll be saying that a lot. Had a rough day on Tuesday. The 78 found himself in a handful of cautions, a handful of incidents, but a better start, at least, through the heat races. It's starting to slide back here on the feature. Gotta say, the SARA Super Late Model drivers brought their A game this week. Only a handful of cautions on Tuesday, one so far in the first 20 laps, and I know that could be jinxing things as we still have 130 to go, but really good racing. Only one caution, or I guess 2 cautions, I believe, in the heat races today, but only one heat race had cautions. 2 leaders, though, working closer and closer together. A couple of Ford Mustangs of different ages, if you will. Cabry getting run down lap by lap by the 72 car. And Ryan talked about working through different packages in the front end. Working through different combinations of what he wants to do with the left front, the right front, the front end in general. Trying to find a little bit of speed, maybe reverting back to some older setups. Whatever he's done to the car, he's found a lot of early speed at the very least. Yet to see how this car will handle over the course of 150 laps. But through 25, and his heat race, and now these first 25 in the feature, he's clearly got something hooked up. Aaron Johnson, Jacob Harberts, a little further back. They go side by side. There's a couple of those throughout the field. Derek Kraus, Kyle Souza, they're actively racing back here for the 14th and 15th positions, and already Derek Kraus, a ton of damage. They're going to go 3 wide in the back. This is for 13th position. Gentlemen, this is a little bit scary. Lap 28. They're making it work. Kraus up top, Jeffrey's the meat in the sandwich, and Souza's the bottom bun. Kraus gets the wall, gets into Jeffrey. They're ping-ponging around off of each other. Eli now to the bottom side, and they'll get out of 3 wide. Derek Kraus nearly has the 88 clear once again. Oh, man, it's a big piece of the outside wall that time. And loose out of 4, he's going to drop down to the apron, let these guys go by. Missing a right front fender. Merges back on right in front of Connor Blaze, next to Justin Laxton. And he's going to try and get that race back under control for him. Kyle Eli, Keith Jeffrey, this, the fight for 14th. Up towards the front, Landon Rapp, Trevor Edwards, they're starting to fight for 4th position. Edwards, of course, has fallen back. Or rather, Edwards has moved up. Rapp has fallen back. Ty Majeski knocking on the door of the top 5. And these guys will not stop. 3 wide once again. That is the 10 of Hamilton down low. Thronberg, the meat in the sandwich. And Jeffrey, now the top bun. Spencer Dickinson watching on, just wants to get by these guys. He runs 18th. And the Rocket iRace wraps number 22. Contact with the 88 there in turn 3. Jeffrey up the racetrack again. Poor Keith Jeffrey's getting bullied tonight. Got hooked by the 69 of Robinson, who's out of the race. Keeps getting run into by these guys as they try to go by the blue and orange 88. And Jeffrey this time gets up and out of the way of Derek Kraus, who has a bobble in a moment again out of turn 4. But Kraus will take the 18th place away for the time being, and Jeffrey just going to fall all the way back to 22nd. Side by side for 20th, but let's move back forward. Ty Majeski, Landon Rapp, Trevor Edwards. It's working from back to front in this fight for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jacob Harbert's also not far back of these guys. Aaron Johnson still in top 10. He runs 8th. Majeski's got some serious speed. That said, he's trapped behind a couple of cars. We saw him have that speed a couple of nights ago. I don't know how much work these guys did in the last 48 hours to find more pace, but I think Ty is taking things slow. I mean, do I have to speak for his iRating? 10,700. The only driver close is Ryan Kuhn at 10,500. We're talking about 5 times the iRating I possess. Jacob Harberts, and hello, Dustin Maburket now moving forward. Again, I go back to Discord comments. Maburket didn't have the greatest result a couple of nights ago, but had fun, and that's what things are about. Having fun, especially at a place like Hickory. It's hard not to have fun. Maburket, though, racing with Johnson for the 8th position, would like to grab it. Landon Rapp moving around as he tries to get by the 32 car. Ty Majeski, a bit of a blink. These guys all just in a line. Again, you can see that is 4th through 10th in a line. 7 cars stacked up behind the 32 car of Trevor Edwards. Matt Rolfe not far back in 11th. Really love these blimp perspectives. It gives you a really nice view as to where these guys are all running on the racetrack, how they're trying to be better than maybe the car ahead or the car behind. And even just some of the structure of the racetrack. That bend in the wall at a turn 3 kind of tightens things up on entry. And turns 1 and 2 are a little more square. By the way, Ryan Kuhn leaning back a little bit off of Cole Cabre. He's now given up a full second to the 54 car for the race lead. And still, this the fight for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Aaron Johnson makes it 8th. Dustin Maburket 9th. Riley Stensham 10th. And Matt Rolfe back here had some trouble on Tuesday. Been saying that a whole lot. Got involved in a couple of incidents, but still a pretty good race. Had decent speed. I think the same kind of rings true for his heat race again this evening. Got caught up in a small skirmish, but was able to get on by. Decent finish. Started from 14th and runs in 11th. One car slow. It's Joe Schaefer. He pulls into the pit lane and will call it a day. Maybe. Surprised to see him in the pit lane at all. He will match now Keith Jeffrey and Derek Robinson behind the wall. Aaron Johnson out of line again because Maburket tries to take that spot away. Can't find it. And Landon Rapp, again, trying to find some new inventive way by the 32 car. And, you know, at Southern National a couple of weeks ago, we saw these guys move around the racetrack a little bit. They started out down low. Mid-race, they moved up high. And then they started working back down the racetrack. We're starting to see maybe a different version of that. They warmed the bottom lane up when the track temp has come down to 86 degrees. But they ran the bottom for the most part these first 50 laps. A bit more green flag racing so far tonight. Now they're starting to move up the racetrack. Of course, that's the defensive line. But in a line now, these guys are all moving up, running a bit higher, I think, trying to find cooler racetrack to cool these tires down, or at least manage the temperatures. Every time we ask a driver about tires, it's a matter of don't slide them, manage the temperatures. Keep them as low as you can. the broken record. It's the same stuff every time, and I think this series maybe displays that the best as Rapp gets into Edwards. He's going to tip him around. He hangs on to it. Great hand and footwork. Sideways again. Majeski got a piece of him. 3 wide. Ty Majeski hooked around. And that will be a caution. Lap 57. And the 98 car might be done. He's going to tow to the pit lane. Another look back. Everything just came unraveled real quick. So this is the lap prior, the lap leading into it. You see him blinking there, and that's important. Very, very important to note. It happens again down here in turn 3. Rapp gets into Edwards. They all check up, do a great job of it. But down here in 3, Majeski gets into Edwards and blinks out. Edwards goes down the racetrack, and that ends up hooking the 98 car. Trevor Edwards, a fantastic job of handling the race car a couple of times. Great saves. Gets hit there by Landon Rapp. Turns down the racetrack while the 98 was blinked out. And I can't imagine that was an intentional right hook or anything, considering the 98 wasn't there. We're going to watch the handwork from Edwards aboard car 32. He's going to hang on to 5th spot through all of this. Only let one car by, and that was Jacob Harberts in the 80. And the 28 of Landon Rapp has sunk so far to the 9th position under this caution. That's where Landon got into Edwards. And Trevor going to get hit here again by Majeski. Hangs on, gets hit by Landon, and then... Yeah, I'd be hard-pressed to say anything there was any kind of intentional from Trevor Edwards. He's just trying to hang on to the race car. And seeing that in-helmet perspective, I think really helps us determine that that was just drivers trying to hang on to the car. So lap 61 now underway of 150. Call it now lap 62. Cole Cavery, Ryan Kuhn in the front row. Alex McCullum from 3rd. This is your same top 3 from Tuesday night, just in a new order. Lap 62 complete. We're halfway through this 150-lap feature event, and Ryan Kuhn up the racetrack by virtue of the 54 car. We've got a side-by-side fight for 2nd place. McCullum pulls up underneath. Harberts looks on. Edwards there on the bottom side. Monberquette now into 6th spot as the whole field is re-racked, restacked, put back together. Here comes the car that I think has one of the coolest paint schemes in the field, next to another car that has one of the coolest paint schemes in the field, and that I think maybe should have dominated Tuesday just by practice speeds. Had some trouble again in the heat race, just couldn't quite get to where he wanted. Dustin Monberquette into 6th position, trying to work through the field. A lot of motion in the back, though. Look at these guys, 2 wide, several rows deep. Kyle Souza even in that bunch after his heat race mishap with Joe Schaefer. I said it was halfway. I was thinking, I guess, for a 125 lap race. These guys still have a way to go to halfway. Monberquette on the outside, a little bit of contact there with Edwards down the backstretch. And Edwards and Brandon Wilkinson, who's not in the field tonight, they had several laps where they went back and forth, exchanged doors, and I think we could see the same thing again between any number of these drivers, where they just get into each other, lean on each other, and have that rubbing his racing mentality throughout the course of this race. A lot more sunlight in this one as well, earlier in the day. Up front, this the gap. About 1.5 tenths on the straightaways, 1/10 and some change in the corners, and actually it's going to grow there out of turn 4. Ryan Kuhn giving up just a little bit of time and closes right back in down in turn 1. 3 wide back here. Landon Rapp caught in the middle. Big accident down the backstretch. Massive hit for Trevor Edwards. Wow. I don't think I've seen that much damage to a super late model yet. Absolutely demolished. Incredible. Who was it that he got into that with? It was a 77, Riley Stengham. He loses the nose, but compared to the 32, as they pit in the same box, it looks like shared pit boxes. Oh boy. Big crash for those two. Look back at it. Trevor Edwards, of course, was just a big part of that crash with Ty Majeski. And this time down the backstretch, what happens between he and the 77? The 77 just hung off the wall a bit. Trevor, of course, tracks out, and two drivers doing two different things ends up in a massive, massive accident. Parts everywhere. It's rare you see something as big as that with supers on iRacing. Wow. Landon Rapp got a big hit. Kyle Eli now out of the race as well. He wasn't before this caution, I don't think. The 77's on board. We're going to slow this down. He gets just alongside of the 32. I don't know if he knows he's alongside, but he is there. And he tracks down the racetrack big time from where Monberquette was. And as the passing car, I know this is maybe a road racing perspective before oval, but as the passing cars, there's Aaron Johnson getting checked up. They're 3 wide back there. Jeez. That might be why Kyle Eli left. Hamilton got the fence. There was a lot going on all at once. Souza gets into Eli. Wow, that all happens. Eli actually gets tipped there by Thronberg during the caution, and Eli decides he's had enough, I suppose. But one more time, looking back at this for Riley Stengham and Trevor Edwards. Maybe a road racing mindset, but the passing car is responsible to facilitate the pass cleanly. And it looks like we are restarting. Cole Cabry, a hot restart here. He jumps up to the race lead. Well, keeps the race lead as we are officially past halfway. Monberquette now 4th, Harbert's 5th. The dynamic changed a little bit up in the top 10. Aside from the top 3, they stay the same. No change between our race leaders. It's still Cabry, Kuhn, McCullum. And this, I think, proves just why these drivers talk so much about track position and tire management. The top 3, I'm sure, some of the best at it. And they had the best track position to get this race started. The only driver I've really seen go back to front in any form, 13th to 4th for Monberquette. A fantastic race so far for the 16 car. First side-by-side, Matt Rolfe and Cameron Hamilton back here for the 7th and 8th positions. Hamilton down low in that white 10. And Kyle Souza, man, he's in the top 10. Had a big crash on Tuesday, a big crash in the heat earlier today. And maybe the proverbial backup car doing well for him. Started from 21st spot up to 9th. Still a long ways to go, and certainly a couple of big crashes, taking our field now to 17 with one driver 5 laps down. That's Keith Jeffrey. But still, a really solid job out of Souza tonight. Dickinson grabs a piece of the concrete wall. Oh, Derek Kraus into Blake Thronberg, and a crash once again. Caution is out. Derek Kraus turned around. Unfortunately, that is not the first time we've said that. A little bit of contact there. Thronberg comes down the racetrack as he's already sideways and just tips the 9 car. And that, again, is the result of just some hard racing. Kraus gets down to the inside. Couldn't quite get there in 1 and 2, but then Thronberg gets the wall. Derek comes in, just slides into the 22 ever so slightly, and contact causes this caution. Now some repairs taking place on car 9. You see the very damaged 32 of Trevor Edwards still. I still absolutely cannot believe what we saw in that crash between the 32 and the 77. The 32 still has no right front, no front end, no rear bumper. That is still just unbelievable as you see the minor fixes happening to the 77 car. He might get back in this race. I'm not sure what it would do for him, but Derek Krause, it looks like, will take the car behind the wall. Kronberg was able to hang on to the car. It has a bit of left side damage now, left front damage in particular, and I might handicap him a little bit. We take a look at the SARA Pierce Fleet Service Super Series schedule. We have run through 5 races of that series. We're back in action exactly a week from tonight. In fact, in about exactly 1 week, down to the hour as well, we're going racing at Five Flags Speedway for the Justin Brooks Designs 125, race number 6, and exactly the halfway point through this schedule. Then we head to a track that we don't even know yet, the Fast AF Designs Mystery Night on March 28th, and then everything is pretty well prescribed. You've got New Hampshire, Slinger, Oxford Plains, and Lanier. We keep things in the north for a few races and then head back down to Georgia. Ryan Kuhn, the race, well, not race leader, he'll restart from second to the race leader, Cole Cabrey, restart back underway. We're green flag. Lap 90 complete, 60 to go. And the top 3, again, they orchestrate that restart perfectly. The first fight for 4th, Harbert's to the inside of Monburquette. Landon Rapp there as well in the top 10. And somebody, well, a couple of somebodies are starting to just sneak into the top 10, get some decent runs going for themselves. Matt Rolfe, Cameron Hamilton, I think a couple of notables for sure. Spencer Dickinson racing with Aaron Johnson, worth noting, back here for the 10th position. As Souza got the wall there on the top side. Man, these guys up top, they just keep just dusting that outside wall with the right side and doesn't do a whole lot to the body. Oh, contact! Aaron Johnson goes for a big slide down the front stretch and into turn 1. Thronberg got into him. They backpedal, they get it back under control, but that was scary for a moment. And Cole Cabrey has led every single lap so far. His teammate, Alex McCullum, did exactly this, flag to flag, wire to wire, on Tuesday evening. Started from the pole after winning Heat 1, never looked back. And I know Ryan Kuhn went to work on his setup. I don't know how much work these guys did at the shop to tune these cars just a hair more to get a little more speed out of them. Even if they didn't, what a program they have as there's contact for the race lead, and Ryan Kuhn backpedals, lets the 54 gather it up. We've got a fight for 3rd. Monburquette squarely to the inside, at least for a moment, of McCullum. He slides back now. Dustin keeps just getting right there to the left rear. Just can't fully pull alongside of that one car down the straightaway. Dives back in 3 and 4, but as they exit the corner, Dustin has to pedal it. That was his best corner yet, though, as far as getting to the inside of the one car. He stays there through 1 and 2, stays there down the backstretch, and I'm not sure how much of this is Alex taking it easy and how much of it is Monburquette actually having pace on the one car, but Dustin has come alive here lately as we eclipse lap 100, 50 laps to go. And this might be the most interesting fight, most compelling fight, but the most entertaining for now is going to have to be back here between Matt Rolfe, Cameron Hamilton. Some contact that time out of the corner. Matt falls back now into position number 8, and he's going to check up on the bottom side, park it a little bit, get himself back in order. Souza grabs the fence, but pulls back alongside of the 0 car. It will never not be impressive to me how many times these guys can hit the wall in this super late model and keep on going. You wouldn't be able to do that in a real car, but it's just impressive to me on iRacing. Aaron Johnson up here in 11th spot. He's had a rough couple of days in Hickory. Started 5th tonight after finishing 2nd in heat number 2. But as you can tell, he's been kind of sliding back, just kind of hovering right here on the top 10, and would like to move back forward as he races for the 10th spot. Ryan Kuhn still putting chase to Cole Caber in the 54 car, and the Patriot Marketing Ford Mustang gets back out of the corner nicely. Been a pretty calm race for these two. I mean, it's just a bunch of laps getting long, nose to tail. The real big piece of excitement was a few laps ago when Ryan briefly got into the 54 car. I think that's the only time I've seen these two make contact. Otherwise, the track position, and particularly on the restarts, I mean, if you fired these guys off at the exact same time in turn 4 coming to the restart, I think we'd have different races both Tuesday and here on Thursday. But that first position on these restarts is so key. You can clear second by turn 1, starting from the inside, and just hang on to the lead position as we've got a slow land and wrap down the front stretch. A bunch of left front damage to the 28 car. I've seen worse in this race, but it's still notable for sure. Looks like it'll come from a little bit of contact with Cameron Hamilton in the 10. This is a lap prior, so building up to this small incident for the driver that was running right behind Harberts in 6th spot. Hamilton will take the spot over. Out of the corner, this is what happens. Cameron just gets into him, Landon goes for a slide, and inside wall. Cole Caber, 36 laps to go across the stripe. Again, has led every single one of them. I don't know how these guys are able to do that. Hit 150 laps, and I know a handful are under caution, but to just run this many laps, absolutely perfect or near perfect, and stay ahead of all of these guys with crazy I ratings. I mean, Ryan Kuhn in 2nd, 10,500. Again, that just boggles my mind. Spencer Dickinson, Matt Rolfe, they fight for 8th. Aaron Johnson, they're in 10th. Connor Blaze, too. After not racing here on Tuesday evening, he's actually going to move into 10th for a moment. Contact there with Aaron Johnson. And just like earlier with poor Keith Jeffrey, the 78 being treated like a pinball. Everybody's getting into that 78 car. Just north of 30 laps complete. I'm going to go back to weather conditions. The track temp down to 82 degrees and cooling over the course of this race. It started out at 102 in practice. A very, very warm session to get things going. Matt Rolfe sideways into 1, and that big slide is going to hurt the 0 car. Kronberg looking to the inside of Connor Blaze. This will be for 11th if he can get it away. I think Blake has got a good car, just hasn't been able to stay out of trouble, has had small little incidents here and there, whether they were his fault or not. And it's really held him back as he works here on position number 11. Up front, though, things starting to tighten up. Nearing 25 laps to go. And for the race, not quite for the race lead. For the race lead, they're still tight. They're about a third of a second between them. But for the positions right behind the race lead, 3rd and 4th spot, bottom step of the podium. This is your fight. Alex McCullum leading, at least in the fight, of course. Bob Burkett in 4th, so trailing. And working under the lights into the dark on Tuesday, again, it gripped the track up, I think, around the bottom later in the day. It really transitioned this race from being a little more multi-groove to a little more one-dimensional. Kind of closed things down. The bottom was still the best line at the end of the race. Now with 25 laps to go, I don't know which line is best. I think you could run 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 different lines through the corner as far as entering high, exiting low, exiting high. Staying down low the entire corner, maybe a little bit higher, maybe the middle. Maybe you diamond it, you exit low, kind of wash up, then get back out of the corner. I don't think you want to diamond here in particular, but definitely options for these guys inside of 25 to go, nearing 20. And we've got to fight again. Matt Rolfe, Aaron Johnson, this now for the 9th spot as the 0 continues to drop through the field. Had a great car until about lap 100. Starting to come undone. Contact the outside wall, and that might... Well, doesn't change the position yet. Contact there between these two. They lean on each other a bit more. It'll be 20 laps to go this time by. Johnson with the position at the stripe for 20 to go. Kyle Souza ahead has started to reel in this 10 car. Again, it's crazy to me the speed that Kyle Souza actually has when he's able to show it. When he's able to use that 7 car. Rolls the top here in 1 and 2, trying to catch up to the 10. We'll keep tabs on that fight for 6th as Spencer Dickinson has moved into 8th, and this still is the fight for 9th. Matt Rolfe, Aaron Johnson, Blake Thronberg. Then Connor Blaze and Justin Laxton, Kyle Meyer there as well, Landon Rapp. In 15th spot, he is the last car running on the lead lap, while Keith Jeffrey runs 4 laps down. And truthfully, I'm not totally convinced that Jeffrey is entirely out of this race. You never know. On these short tracks, we can absolutely get a few cautions, bunch these guys back up a few times, and potentially get the 88 back in the race. Side by side here, though, for 12th. And nothing against these two drivers in particular, but these are the kind of fights that could give us a caution. Laxton got into the 57 for a moment, slides. Exactly that can give us a yellow late in these races, which is the opposite of what this guy wants to see. Cole Cabry has definitely shown these guys that he has got the pace to go out there, go flag to flag, wire to wire. He's done so far, just 13 laps shy of doing it for 150 straight. He's become a larger and larger mainstay in the SARA Super Series in 2024. This is more or less a Super Series race in some ways. And not slowing down at all. I think we have to consider this guy as a favorite to get a race win still in the 6 races left in the Super Series in the first go-around of 2024. I mean, the pace he's got this evening, nailing every single lap. He's got no drivers ahead right now. Clean racetrack, clear racetrack. And the shop just might sweep this event as a whole between 2 different drivers. And I'm so surprised that McCullum is stuck back here in 3rd and just hasn't really shown a ton of pace. But I think, again, it shows just how much that track position matters as we have this fight brewing up for 5th position. .142 complete this time by. Still fights all over the racetrack. You have this for 5th, Harberts and Hamilton. Not so far behind them, Kyle Souza, Spencer Dickinson closing in. And a little further back, Connor Blaze, Justin Laxton, Kyle Meyer, they stay fighting. The only place that is real spread out is for the race lead. Cole Cabry has put now 1.2 seconds between himself and Ryan Kuhn. And while we had the late race restarts and cautions to set things up for the green-white checkered, natural green-white checkered on Tuesday, letting these guys go green to the end, this is still much more spread out than I think we would have seen on Tuesday evening. all over the racetrack. I mean, we have cars running every different line and strewn about 8 seconds of a lap. That's a pretty decent portion when you're running 13-second laps. 4 to go. This is still a fight for 5th position to make it into the top 5. Hamilton would love to do so, of course. He got the draw in his heat race, but started 16th after a painful heat result. He's driven from as low as 22nd to try and get this 5th position. Watch out for the 10 car now with 3 laps to go, coming to popsicle sticks in the air. This time by, he's got the nose ahead for a moment. It's for something as simple as a top 5, but to see Hamilton get it would be pretty nice. It'll be white flag this time by at Hickory Motor Speedway to complete the back half of the Hickory doubleheader for the Sim Auto Racing Association 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour. Absolute flag-to-flag, wire-to-wire domination for the shop, and Cole Cabry is going to victory lane at Hickory. At the line, I think Harbert's got Hamilton by 6/1000ths of a second for 5th, all while this driver is able to celebrate a hard-earned win. Cole Cabry gonna park it. And the 54 has never looked better. 150 laps led. Come on, Cole, burn it down. Well, he cleared the carburetor before shutting it off. That's a common courtesy at least. We'll take a look back at our unofficial race results after 150 laps. I don't think he's going to do any burnouts, but we'll stick with him for the time being just in case. For your unofficial race results, Cole Cabry, a 1.5 up on Ryan Kuhn. Alex McCullum there in 3rd spot. Dustin Marquette, Jacob Harberts, Cameron Hamilton, your top 5, or top 6 rather. 6/1000ths between those two. May as well be the top 5. Kyle Souza, Spencer Dickinson, Matt Rolfe, and Aaron Johnson, the remainder of your top 10. We'll take a look at page 2, but again, look at that left column. 150 laps led, started first. It's just about the exact same between this race and Tuesday's event, where, again, it was Alex McCullum. 150 laps led straight. Sure, there were moments where it looked like maybe he would get beaten out, but it just never happened. Big upset of the night, I think, is Ty Majeski finishing 21st. Even Joe Schaefer, most recent Super Series winner, he finishes 22nd. Tough nights for both of them. We'll back things up a little bit and take a look. Well, I say take a look. We'll watch through the replay, but we'll grab our race-winning... the same guys we talked to a couple of nights ago, just in a different order. And we'll bring Cole Cabry in with the race win, 150 laps led, wire-to-wire, Cole. You and Alex, you sounded very, very similar on Tuesday. Still pretty confident about racing here on Thursday, for good reason. Swap the drivers, and you guys still lead flag to flag for the shop. How's that feel?
It feels great. Alex and the guys back at the shop put together a great car. Another one for Thursday here, and we were able to lead all the laps. Get that heat race win, and yeah, just set sail from there.
Definitely a big step up, and I think affirming yourself as a driver to contend for wins in the Super Series as well. So as we get back to points racing, next we get 5 flags. I'd imagine this has you guys at kind of a high at the very least going into the back half of the season. I mean, race 6 coming up right in the middle, right in the thick of things for points.
Yeah, for sure. You still have to, keep your head on your shoulders and keep trying to find something and keep pushing. But for sure gives us a lot of confidence going into the regular season. And we're just halfway in that. So I think it's time to get busy here and start putting in some results.
And as far as points go, it's worth noting you're into the top 10 finally, and squarely in the top 10 as well. I think 5th place. So a really solid position going into 5 flags next up. And yeah, 5th place, only 26 out of the lead. Of course, that'd be your shop teammate, Alex McCullum. How do you narrow that gap?
Just keep putting in results like this. Translate this into, like I just said, the regular season. Have most of the shop guys kind of separate out or separate the field out, and just keep putting in solid races. We had a misfortune at Irwindale and set me back pretty big. So, just keep charging forward, and like I said, just keep putting in solid races.
Well, Cole, good to talk to you once again. 150 laps led, 300 between you and Alex. That's a pretty solid number. Best of luck at Five Flags in a week.
Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to Charlie Bates for the sick rap. I know you guys are watching, so I appreciate that. Colin, Trav, you guys are the boys.
There you go. Cole Cabrey, 150 laps led this evening, wins the back half of the Hickory doubleheader, and does it over Ryan Kuhn, who in the 72 car, I really thought maybe he had the pace to win. Ryan, for a good part of this race, you looked like you had something to get by Cole. Is there any one part, or any one lap maybe that you wish you had back?
Not really. I mean, Cole ran a good race. Alex ran a good race. We all ran really good races at the front. It was nice and clean. And I made a little change tonight. I honestly couldn't tell you if it was any better or worse than on Tuesday, but, I felt like I lost a little bit in the center there at the end, and then I needed a little bit more drive. But I mean, all in all, the car was pretty good. It was pretty balanced. Just very, very minimal changes to just be a little bit better. But all in all, it was a good night. Congrats to Cole. Congrats to Alex. And another top three.
Yeah, up one spot from Tuesday evening, and I think back to where we expect you to finish in these super late model races. How do you carry this into Five Flags and try to right some of what's gone on these last couple of Super Series races where you've kind of, I guess, hit everything but the pace car, and not even your own fault? Just seems like everything wants to center around the 72 car.
Yeah, last few races have not been that great. Obviously Nashville, we had that wreck, and then we just missed it pretty much. But I knew exactly what I needed to do with that setup, and it seems like with this new damage model, it seems like every track you kind of got to set it up a little bit different. When it was the old damage model, you kind of you could run pretty close to the same front end package and just adjust with the right front, but you can't really do that anymore with this car. And you got to change so much for every single track, and I just misjudged it so I think it'll be really good at Five Flags. I felt like we have a really good car for official for next week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Is there anything that transfers between Hickory and Five Flags? They're completely differently banked and even differently structured. Of course, Five Flags is bigger, faster, but both are really, really bumpy and just seem to rattle your bones.
Yeah, a little bit. They kind of got they're both really, really bumpy. I think I could probably take a little bit of knowledge from what I had here to Five Flags, and I'm gonna really learn with our RKM guys that a lot of them are gonna be running Five Flags next week to really help me prepare. So I appreciate them. But they're gonna run some races. They're gonna give me some feedback. I might also run a few races and hopefully make the car a little better for both official and SARA. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll have a really good car there.
Best of luck, Ryan. Hopefully we're talking to you next week after 125 at Five Flags.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ryan Kuhn, another solid night here at Hickory Motor Speedway, which means we can go down and talk to our race winner on Tuesday, our third place finisher on Thursday. Not a bad week, certainly, Alex, but a couple of spots south of where you finished on Tuesday. Is there any reason for that, or just track position?
I don't know necessarily track position. I mean, car was good in the beginning. I should have just ran what we ran Tuesday. I mean, I told Cole to run what we ran Tuesday, and that thing was ripping. I should have just ran what he ran, and I just wanted to experiment. I mean, I just wanted to try a few things, and it didn't work at all. I was just holding on for my life, and I was trying everything to hold off Barbecue there. He was so much faster, but he ran me clean. So thank you for that.
And Alex, I've been talking to Cole and Ryan both about getting back in the saddle for Super Series racing. That's kind of our next focus, right? This event kind of in the rear view very, very quickly. It's over and done with. Points matter, though. Again, next week at Five Flags. Not a whole lot you could transfer, but they are both really bumpy racetracks. Is there anything you look for in comparisons between Hickory and Five Flags?
The bumps are kind of the same, but we're just gonna try a few things. I mean, I think we're gonna be really good at Five Flags. I've always ran very well there. Yeah, our stuff's gonna be pretty good.
Well, Alex, clearly the shop has things figured out in this super late model program. Congratulations, another top 3 finish. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in a week's time. If not, shortly thereafter. Congratulations, Alex. Hopefully we're talking to you soon.
Thank you, and I just want to say congrats to Cole. Yeah, he was wheeling that thing.
A little catch there. I'm glad you caught it. I heard it coming. Alex, once again, good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Almost slipped up there, Alex did, but appreciate him, I guess, watching the language. We'll just go ahead and say it, but really solid night, I think, all around for the series, all around for the league. To be fully transparent, there's been a couple of times where I don't want to go full of Mike Joy, but we get some keyboard warriors in and talk about how bad the race might have been, how many cautions there might have been. If you look at the stat line this evening, 150 laps, only under yellow for 19 of them. That's 131 under green, with around the same amount of cars, a few less. I mean, 23 took the green, and I know we usually have 30 for the Super Series, so a slight downtick, but very similar number of cars, very similar set of drivers, almost the exact same. Really solid night. I think the league is headed in a big, really solid direction, very positive direction for the rest of 2024. So watch out for Five Flags then. That's our focus. Once again, Five Flags Speedway on March 21st, a week from tonight. We'll be actively racing at that point in time, and maybe even coming up to about halfway or so in the race. So again, you just got to tune in for the Justin Brooks Designs 125 on March 21st. It's going to be a lot of fun. Even I, the broadcaster, have no clue where we're going on March 28th. I think only Matt Rolfe might know, and he even might not know yet. So watch out for what happens on the 28th as well, and what track we're going to that week. Definitely looking forward to it. Then New Hampshire going to be a completely different race from anything we've seen this season. Unless, of course, we go to New Hampshire twice and go to New Hampshire for the mystery race. Who knows, I guess. But then Slinger going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting race. Hopefully we have some kind of heat structure to work through that. Otherwise, it's going to be an interesting day, to say the least, on that quarter mile. Oxford Plains, very, very fun. Very, very tight racing line, though. Not a whole lot of room, and pretty much the same story at Lanier. Of course, a look back at what we have upcoming at Pit Stop TV through the course of the weekend, and the Icon Cup Series, I think, is a highlight event right now. They had a fantastic race at Phoenix this past weekend, and on St. Patrick's Day, we'll be seeing who wants to get lucky, or who thinks they can get lucky, and who can put their car in victory lane of the four-leaf clover at the end of the night. It's going to be a tough race, though. 300 laps in NASCAR Cup Series cars at Bristol Motor Speedway is no easy feat. We'll be watching out for these guys, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Sunday, along with our full lineup of broadcasts. Thanks for tuning in this evening. It's been a pleasure, as always, for round number 3, technically, all part of round number 2, I guess, though, of the 1-8 Coffee Company National Tour for the Sim Auto Racing Association, presented by SARA Next Gen Templates this evening as well. A really, really fun night, really fun weekend in general. These guys knocked it out of the park. And it's all thanks to our partners with the series: 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage, Pierce Fleet Service, Race1Wraps.com, RS Enter Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimWrapMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions, Boyd's Automotive, Pro Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, Leather and Sheepskin, International Short Track Association, Jeff by Junior Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. A nod to our partners as well with the page: Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business. And finally, a shout out to those who help us make these broadcasts possible. The groups behind the scenes, if you will. In audio, ATVO, Whiplash Simcams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That will do it for us. Make sure to tune in tomorrow night as we go racing at Daytona with Racers Elite for the first time. Should be a lot of fun. Otherwise, we'll see you maybe Wednesday, or rather Sunday, I guess, or Wednesday. We've got some races coming up. Or again, next Thursday at Five Flags Speedway. Hopefully we'll see you there for round number 6 of the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series in 2024. 125 laps brought to you by Justin Brooks Designs in a week's time. Do not miss it. We'll see you there.